dicking around with it, and then I didn't see any YouTube on the gimmick, so then that's why I messaged it. Are you guys on it? So I just went ahead and just redid it. Oh, this is going to be a doozy of a show. I'm already half in the bag. Well, I think I was half in the bag around noon. I don't know how big of a bag you got to put me in, but I'm pretty much about in that bag.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, if you guys are ready, I'll send him the link and we'll see if he shows up.
Tommy Cairo?
Yeah.
Are you trying to get him to use like some kind of technology or something?
I am.
Oh, good Lord. Moses, smell the roses.
Let's see how this goes.
All right. Thomas Cairo.
I hope he's in his backyard.
If that is his last name.
Man, all this packing and shit. I hate moving. I'm excited to get to the new house, but I hate moving. God damn it.
Dude, moving? We got to fucking move into a hotel.
Oof.
Our hot water heater broke. And it sprayed out the back. And then we didn't catch it for a few weeks until it started flooding the living room. But it flooded the kitchen and everything else. So now we have mold, asbestos, mesothelioma. I even think Jessica has the human papillomavirus. I mean, they just keep telling us that we got all these diseases. And they said that you're going to have to move into your hotel room for like 4 or 5 days. And I said, are you all recording, right?
Yeah.
You do realize that we do have 2 cats and a rabbit. So when I walk into the Ramada Inn down by BWI with a kitty carryall and I'm pushing a rabbit cage.
Like the clamp here. What's going on?
Yeah, they're gonna be aware of this, right?
Hey Tommy, welcome to the zoo.
Hey, thanks guys. What's happening? Finally, huh?
Yeah.
Well, just to give you, anybody wants to know what the business can do to you, I am flat on my back right now. Just about unable to move. So this is what. Yeah, terrible,
I'm pretty
man.
much flat on my back too, but it's not because of wrestling.
Chad, that's you?
That's me.
Holy
I
crap,
don't know
man!
what this is. Is it my foot or something?
I haven't seen you in years, man.
Can't see you now.
I don't know what this is. Yeah, you know what, Tommy? I was gonna try to hold this off until later on because I wasn't sure if you remembered it. But the last time that I met you was at a Carluzzo show.
Okay.
in Atlantic City.
In Atlantic City for Corluzzo, really?
Yeah, you walked up to me and I looked at you and you went, "Hey, Chad," and I went, "Oh my God, he remembered me."
I'm trying to think. For some reason, I'm wondering why Atlantic City and Dennis Corluzzo doesn't ring a bell.
Well, maybe not Carluzzo, but I mean,
was it my shows that I was running?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. It had all the staples. The Kodiak Bear. It had Super Set,
really?
Gino Caruso.
That's interesting.
It was
What's
on
that?
the beach, I think.
On the beach. Oh yeah. I don't think that was. You know what? I think you're right. Was New Jack there?
Well, I don't know.
Do you remember? You don't remember?
Not New Jack. I try to forget it.
Yeah, exactly. I think Rhino was there. It was an outdoor show. It was from some one and done guy. I don't think it had anything to do with me or my stuff. I do remember Tammy being there. And I hear this music playing, and I'm like, the show hadn't even started. I'm like, what's this freaking music? They're like, Tammy's like, oh, that's New Jack's music. I'm like, yeah, why is it playing? Is he coming out? There's no match going on. Why is it? Oh, well, when he's here, when he's on a show, they play it. I said, get the fuck, you gotta be kidding me. What is that?
Was his car
No.
just pulling up? Like, he just like,
Yeah.
he's just playing his own system.
Yeah, but I often laugh when I hear how people want to make such big, stars out of people, and I don't know what it was about New Jack, but when I saw him be unable to put away Gypsy Joe, so I don't know if you ever saw that video of him and Gypsy Joe working a match, and he beats up. Well, if you watch it, Gypsy Joe walks away at the end. He's still standing.
He was like 72.
Yeah, and if you're such a,
he just walked away.
Yeah, New Jack couldn't even beat this old guy up. The guy walked away. He never finished him. The guy didn't lay there. He was still walking around. I was like,
Tommy, hang on just a second here. Hang on. You're talking about that New Jack couldn't beat up a 72-year-old guy, but what about what he did to me?
What did he do to you?
Like 24.
Did he stab you?
No, he beat the shit out of me. It's on the network.
Unreal. Unbelievable. Because he that other video of him stabbing that guy in the ring, it's just appalling. And the dude was such an idiot. He's like, well, if you train me, I won't press charges.
I'll tell you what. I was at I got married in May, Tommy. Like May
congratulations.
16th. Thank you. And the day that we were having our rehearsal dinner, I got a text message from my buddy Roy Lucier, and he goes, New Jack died. And I literally said, that's the best wedding gift somebody ever gave me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Jerk
because
off.
not only did he not beat me up, he lied about beating me up. And then I guess he expected me to lie about him beating me up. Like, to carry on the lie? Like,
unreal.
Just to keep going, yeah, that's right, New Jack beat me up. Like, he did so much nothing to me.
Right.
That I was just like, what is this? And then when he did hit me in the side of my leg with a chair, and it caught me in that crevice, by the kneecap.
Right.
And the other guy goes, get the fuck out before he kills you. And I'm thinking, like, what the fuck did I do?
Unbelievable.
I didn't do anything. And then
like,
when you watch the shoots of New Jack talking about it,
right.
He says, and Tommy, you probably will attest to this too, because in ECW, you know how it works. When you're putting together a match, you normally walk up to the guy and you say, hey, how you doing, right?
Sure.
And then
what do you want to do?
What do you want to do, right? New Jack said that I had all these spots that I wanted to do. And I knew that I was a jobber in the match. Like, there was no spots that I wanted to do. I was just there to get dog fed,
Unreal. Well, the funny thing is, as I found out over the years, a lot of the guys that people perceive to be tough guys, the reality of it is, and I lived the history and I've been there, in that ECW locker room, I could have cleaned the clock of anybody and everybody in there, including the fact that I pumped down 911 Big Al when I had bought a ring from him and Teddy and I still owed them a payment and I hadn't seen or talked to either one of them. He calls up, he's at the building, Imaginations in Jersey, ready to take the ring. I said, let me tell you something, Al. You touch that ring. Here's what you better do before you take that ring. You better show up at my doorstep and pay you the money that I did give you. Okay? Or I'm going to come down there before you leave and I'm going to wipe the freaking floor with you. You big jerk off. Right. So nobody was a tough guy. Tommy Dreamer was no tough guy. Taz was no tough guy. None of those guys were tough guys. Sabu was a punk, no tough guy at all. All thought they were tough guys, and I got a little bit of a attitude going back then because I was really in a good spot until Paulie came. And then it took Tommy Dreamer and Taz to basically take my spot. 2 New York guys, 2 Paulie guys. And if anybody remembers, well, the stuff that we were putting out back then, like the programs and stuff, was talking about me with my 11 variations of suplexes. And then all of a sudden, you know, Taz comes and that's gone. And then they put Dreamer in my place with Sandman because
that's just
Paulie
that's Paulie, man. That's
Paulie didn't like me.
And changed the script.
Yep. And you know, I got news for people. We were selling out with Eddie Gilbert. They weren't. It wasn't like we weren't doing well, and Paulie came.
Well, I wouldn't get carried away with the selling out. You were starting to draw people.
No, well, right before Paulie came, we drew okay, and we were drawing 800 people in the arena before they even put the freaking bleachers in.
Bleachers.
That's something I was going to ask you, Tommy. That was actually on my list of questions. Was what was the starkest difference when Paulie took over from Eddie? Well,
the first thing I didn't like is he totally disrespected both Eddie Gilbert and Doug Gilbert, and I think he had an idea of what he wanted to do before he put it in place, and he was working against Gilbert behind his back. And when it went down in the locker room that day, he's lucky he didn't get his ass kicked because Doug Gilbert was ready to rip Paulie apart.
Do you remember when Doug? Were you there when Doug was swinging the baseball bat?
Yeah. Yes.
And he was hitting the monitors. And
hey, what about this?
If anybody goes out there and tries to stop Eddie, you got to come through me first.
Yeah. Now, what about the dude that wore the blow-up muscle suit? Who was that?
Oh, I don't know about that. I was too busy running from Doug.
He was related to the Gilberts. He was very thin.
Oh,
Kevin Lawler?
Is that Lawler?
Yes.
Kid?
Yes. They put him in this suit that you blow up the muscles like with a valve. No, I'm not kidding. I never saw anything like it. They must have bought it in like a Hollywood, place where you get stuff to make a guy look like Superman or whatever underneath the suit. It was an actual suit.
The Sheik on that show, the original Sheik?
Yes, he was.
Because that was one of the craziest nights of my life. After I'm running around, after I'm getting, oh my God, what's going on? I'm getting choke slam, I get this and that, and run back to the back, and I see the original Sheik.
Yeah, he was there.
And I'm just like, what the fuck am I involved in?
Yeah,
with this.
Well, Paulie was trying to pull in, like he didn't do anything that's not been done before, and all he did was mimic what FMW was doing at the time. And bring in all those guys.
Continental.
Yep. He brought in, Crash the Terminator. He brought in those, the big black kids that did the moonsaults, them for 400-pound guys.
No, the headhunters. Yeah.
That was their name too, wasn't it? The big black kids.
Yep. Miguelito Perez. He brought a lot of the Puerto Ricans in.
That's what Bob
those guys
that's what Bob Ortiz called them. And from Puerto Rico, the big black kid.
You've all come here to watch them walk around. Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah, it was a lot of crap going on. But any specific
that was the Headhunters. It was Matsunaga and Motegi. I got pictures with all them guys, dude, because I was a fan of that stuff.
Well, I had those guys in my apartment in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. I picked them up. No, I had to pick them up for Crash, for Billy DeMott. So I brought him back to the apartment. Yeah, I brought him back to my apartment, and I was working for UWF at the time, and I showed him a couple of those videos. I don't even think they had seen any of that. And they were like, what's this? Like, oh, Cemento. I said, yeah, you got that right, man.
I told the guys that I think that I have tapes of you doing, like, shoot fights for...
Yeah, I went over to...
UWFI?
Yes, UWFI. Yep. I worked guys like Gene Leidick. I worked Sakuraba. I worked Takayama. Matter of fact, I worked Takayama at Jinku Baseball Stadium, and it's recorded as 48,000 people with Vader and Takada on top.
Damn.
So that
you were
was
on that show?
yeah, that was. What's that?
I said you were on that show.
Yeah, I was on that show. Greg Bobchick, who worked with
I know who that is.
Vince Torelli, who you know is
Ken
Shamrock.
Shamrock.
Yeah, they were all from the same area, South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, and this kid, Greg Bobchick, was a really good dude. I worked him. I worked Sakuraba. I worked Matsunaga. I worked Takayama is the one that was, I said was 40,000 people, Jinku Baseball Stadium. I walked out there. What Bobchick told me, whatever you do, don't go look out at the crowd before you go out there. I'm like, what? I went out to shoot one of the shoots and looked out and like, man, 48,000 people. I ain't never seen that many people before,
Really?
When you
your
came,
whole entire life, you never seen 48,000 people?
Not where I never worked for 48 in front of 4. I worked.
Time.
No. I also worked Sumo Hall and I worked Korakon Hall also. Not the big one. What's the one they do all the concerts in?
The Egg
What's
Dome?
that? Budokan.
Budokan.
Yeah, I worked Budokan, 20-something thousand people.
And then when you came back to the States, they tried to work. They worked that in on ECW. They had you do like a shoot fight thing with Sullivan, I think.
Yeah, have him crack me with the bell. That's a shoot fight.
I hated
what
that.
they wanted to do.
I hated
what they
that.
wanted to. Yeah, they wanted to shit on me because I took the initiative to go somewhere on my own to better my career. And then it's funny how they worked with FMW. It was okay for them to work with a Japanese promotion, but they frowned upon me going, and I'm like,
and they screwed you. They screwed you on that whole entire deal because the whole entire buildup was like, you know what, Tommy Cairo is going to beat the shit out of Kevin Sullivan, and how many times have we seen people that Kevin Sullivan had beat the shit out of, and you're like, all right, finally, somebody's going to beat the shit out of Kevin Sullivan, and it just was like, what the fuck was this?
Yeah, stupid.
You totally got hosed.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's like people when they want to question business decisions made at the top of a promotion when they don't realize that the person at the top doesn't necessarily give a crap about whether or not the angle he's doing or what he wants to put together has anything to do with good or bad business. It's just that they're on the top, they're in power. It's like the Young Bucks. They shouldn't be booking. It's a mess over there. It's a complete mess.
Yourself in the same category as the Young Bucks?
Oh, sure. I'll slap the crap out of those two kids right now. No, but I'm saying, the Young Bucks are a perfect example of booking gone wrong. You got a big mess over there. You got talent up the ass. There's no rhyme or reason to the booking, to the angles.
Is it booking going wrong, or is it booking going to your head?
Well, no, I'll tell you why. Because look at the guys that they have in the back. They got Arn Anderson. They got all intelligent guys in the back. They must just be taking the money and doing whatever the boss wants because they're not in charge. You think Arn Anderson is going to run the show the way it's being run right now? I don't think so. I think he doesn't. They don't have any power. They're just collecting a paycheck.
I don't think anybody gives a shit.
Yeah, I guess. But if it were me and I was any of those guys and I knew I still was healthy, and I of course I can't physically work anymore. Guys like Arn Anderson. Who else is there? I think Jake the Snake is there.
Malenko.
Come on, you got some of the biggest brain trusts in the business and guys that aren't mad at the business. Look at Arn. Arn's not mad. He's got no grudge. He's not bitter. That's the best kind of guy to have running a promotion like that. So I can only believe that nobody is giving him or Malenko or Jake the Snake the reins. If they were, I'm sure they could straighten that crap out between them. They got enough years that they could figure it out. Don't you think?
So you can't work anymore? You're done?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm retired from my regular work. I'm 63, bro.
63? When did
63. I met you in
1940s. That's hardly a fucking victory I can celebrate.
No, I was in '94. Yeah, I was in my 30s.
I beat you in my prime, in your prime.
Yeah. I was none too happy
Sorry,
either.
man. I'm
And it
sorry.
had
I was
nothing
so
to do with
stiff.
you. It's like, it had nothing to do with anybody I was working with. It had to do with the fact that Paulie said to me, well, you had your run. Now you got to give other people a chance. Well, you never really finished it. You never utilized me,
You
to the
never had
fullest
a run.
extent. No. So, no big deal. Listen, I'm a happy, healthy man at 63. I got a little bit of, I have a stent, but I'm good. I'm 205 pounds. I got no fat on my body. I still train, still in shape. My family, my wife and I bought a vacation home in Virginia on the Chesapeake Bay. I go out there for 2 weeks. I live here at the Jersey Shore by the water. I stay home for a couple of weeks. I go back and forth. I will say that I did see if there were any local promotions in that area down there. And I have scouted a couple of buildings, but that's only out of force of habit. It's not because I'm really planning on doing anything, It's like if I look at and I talk about it and I look and I humor myself a little bit, then I come to reality and I'm like, no, I don't want to work at anything. I don't want to do any work, and that's too much work.
Tommy, I gotta tell you, when we were doing the show review, probably about 10, 12 shows ago, when we came across the match where it was me and you.
Okay.
Where you had to put me over, and I told him how when me and you were talking to Paulie, and Paulie was saying, "This is what I want," and then you said that he wanted me to slip over, and I looked at you and I went, "This guy's gonna beat the shit out of me." Like I said, "This guy's gonna kill me." Like
because you understood that it wasn't right, right?
Well, yeah, but no, wait a minute. You're 63. It is right. No, but
and listen again. Again, it was nothing personal. It had nothing to do with you. It was just that it wasn't good timing, and it was like I was being punished. And I have no problem putting anybody over, but you can't go from what I was doing to that in one quick step.
Have a problem putting me over because it was a slip.
Right. Exactly.
A go behind thing.
Right.
So, like at the end of the day, when we came up with the finish, and I guess Paul okayed it, it wasn't like it really killed you.
No, it didn't.
But I mean, at the same time, I'm just like, this guy is like a staple here. But when ECW, when you say was a territory, sort of a territory, how many shows did he run per month, do you think?
It wasn't a lot. It was definitely one show every month at the arena. And then he filled in whenever and wherever he could. And I mean that literally, whenever and wherever.
Now, I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off, Tommy. But my question there is because I've always wondered because I'm from Ohio and I'm 42, so obviously I wasn't watching the East Coast indie scene back then.
Right.
So my question, yeah, I know, Chad. Damn it.
What you're not following David Bixen's band on Twitter?
No Bix for me. The TWA, which was Joel Goodhart's promotion,
right?
Did ECW like branch from that, or did it just come in and fill a vacuum from that? You know what I'm saying?
No. Well, I think there were some of the same people involved, and I don't. Well, Todd Gordon obviously was not involved with Joel Goodhart, but a lot of the talent was the same talent. The Larry Winters and the Johnny Hotbodies and all those guys. But I think it maybe just filled the void. I don't think there was a direct connection other than it was a similar product based on the popularity, I believe, at the time of TWA, because nobody was doing what they were doing, getting these, Abdullah the Butcher and getting guys that were out on the indies and making it something a little different to watch. Interesting.
They still did the same thing they spent way too much money.
That's
that
what I was
they
going to
could
ask.
afford to pay
That's what I was
the
going to ask.
talent.
Is if TWA just tried to get too big for its britches, it basically was an ask. Like, did he just
Well, that was it.
did his bubble just pop?
Yeah, and
Hey,
as far
that's what happened to Goodhart. He just spent too much money, and he
yeah,
couldn't keep spending that kind of money. And then you almost kind of like, it's kind of weird because now you always talk about when wrestling when they're trying to like outdo themselves.
right,
What the fuck else was he gonna do? He had
yeah,
Abdullah against the Sheik in like
yeah.
1990 or what? You know what I mean? Like, what were they gonna have Bobo Brazil against Bruno?
Yeah. Well, the only thing I could think of that he must have been such a mark that he overpaid for everybody, because I don't see how you couldn't have made money. I believe he was drawing, and you had guys like Abdullah the Butcher and the Sheik who really still at that time, we're talking 30 years ago, so they were still able to work. So I think they must have
Well, that's
milked
still
them.
debatable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Abdullah worked.
that's true. Well, you know what I mean.
Oof.
He could still walk around the ring. But I mean, I have to believe it was bad business, because I don't see how you couldn't have made money unless you were overpaying those guys, which, happens when you don't know any better and you're being taken advantage of.
Tommy, you've been in the business a long time, like I have. Do you not think that Abdullah the Butcher and Eddie Farhat were not taking advantage of that guy?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, it had to have been like, what do you think? In 1990, 91 money, what, $2,000 is probably now what, $3,500 nowadays?
Yeah, exactly.
And that probably wasn't even like that wasn't even travel. Probably that was just to be there, like to work. Probably.
And then you figure the place drew only like 1,200 at maybe $15, $20 a ticket. So yeah, that guy from the TWA, he never had a chance. He should have had the Midnight Express against the Road Warriors on the goddamn show.
Sure, but here the difference is, if you're in the business like I promoted, people that promoted, like, you can make money or you can not lose money, because the guy that's going to ask the unknown promoter that's never been in the business and doesn't have any pedigree in the business going to charge $1,500, where I'm going to get the guy for $450 or $500. You know what I mean? I never paid that much for a piece of talent in my life. I'm just making an example. Just like the local indie guys when I was running my promotions, guys like Ricky O, he wanted to get together with us. And the first thing he said when we had this little meeting that maybe we were thinking about, Freddie Rubenstein, Phil Varlese, and me, first thing he says, well, we got to get these guys together so we can figure out what we're paying them. What he meant was, I'm hooking up with you guys because I want to get your price, Tommy Cairo, because I know you don't pay full price, because the workers know better than to ask for an inflated amount, because they know that you know what they're worth. And, I'm like, no, I'm not working with this guy, Ricky O. You want to live off my reputation? You want to get my price? What benefit is it for me to have you as a partner? The benefit's all on your end. You think you're going to circumvent my 30 years in the business and knowing everybody to get my price? No, it's not going to happen. So really today, the only way a promoter can make $1 is if he really knows the business. And that's not saying that because you were a worker, you know the business. It's not. But I invented things in indie. Yeah, I invented things in indie wrestling that nobody did before. Vinyl lawn signs.
I bought boots from fucking Bill Ash and some tights. I'm a worker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I worked on a show with Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant.
Yeah.
I'm a worker.
He's still working.
I know. And I'm not.
He's one of the most fluid guys. If you've ever seen the way he used to work, it was like poetry in motion. Even as an old guy.
I'll tell you what poetry in motion is. We booked it for a show in like 1991, and when he said, when you book the Boogie Woogie Man, you get him for the whole entire day, and the promoter, Dennis Whipwreck, you probably know him. That's how he got his name. He gave him a sign to promote the wrestling show, and he put him out on the street corner.
Oh my God!
And Jimmy Valiant said he didn't give a shit about doing it.
Did Big Mama pull up and try to get him in the car?
People were giving him change.
Oh my God!
Giving him change. Somebody handed him a squeegee because he didn't have any tools.
Yeah, I was a big Valiant Brothers fan as a young guy.
I was gonna ask that about that. Like, were they when you? Because I know when you and I talked before. You talked about that was your obviously where you came up. That was the wrestling you watched when you were younger. And were you a fan? Were you a fan of? Were you a Bruno guy, or were you a fan of the heels?
God.
Or
all right, let me explain this to you real quick. I'm about probably about 8 years old. I started watching wrestling, and on this particular night, they've advertised it the week before. This is out of Washington, D.C. Ray Morgan is the announcer, WWF. They announced it the week before. Next week, Baron Cicluna and I guess it was King Curtis, I'm not sure, will face Bruno Sammartino and his cousin, kayfabe, Antonio Pugliese, a.k.a. Tony Parisi, was Bruno's gimmick cousin. So it comes time for the match. They introduce the heels. They're in the ring. They introduce Antonio Pugliese, and he comes out to the ring, and no Bruno. So what happens? They jump Pugliese, double team him. Then all of a sudden, the ring announcer says, or the announcer, "Oh, look at this! Bruno just showed up from the airport. He just arrived from the airport." He runs out. He's got his suitcase with like a shirt hanging out of his suitcase. He's got his tie down and no shirt on, dress pants. He runs in the ring. They go back to back, him and Antonio Pugliese. They fight off the heels, and they stand victorious in the middle of the ring. That's it. Hooked. Hook, line, and sinker. I was hooked. I'm screaming, Bruno!
I loved how you just told a great story. Great story.
Yeah. And my wife
had everything, and in the background is the ice cream man.
Yeah, I hear that.
and I'm laughing, going, he's telling this great story about Tony Parisi and Bruno. And Baron Miguel Cicluna. Well, I mean, how many great stories ever conclude Baron Miguel Cicluna? But
exactly.
He's telling the story about it, and then here I have the
ice cream man.
I'm like, does anybody else not hear this?
I was wondering where that was coming from. But so, that's it. I was hooked, and I became a Bruno fan and went to my first live match at Newark Armory at 10 years old and saw Bruno against Bulldog Brower. And I'll never forget, the magazine that was on sale that month was at the show. It had a picture of Bulldog Brower all bloody, and it said, Valentine signs Brower's death certificate in hot blood.
Hang on, Tommy. Was that the one that said that it had Valentine with the blood running down the side of his face?
Yeah.
And it had fucking Valentine with the finger, and it said like, all right, that was Wrestling Review.
Yes, it was Wrestling Review, 1968.
Fuck, I'm terrible. I know too much nonsense. Jesus.
I know. I feel the same way. All right, here's one for you. Somebody go choke that guy out with that machine, please. Anyway, did I tell you?
I'm getting ready to get a fucking coconut. You guys want one?
Yeah. Give me a rocket pop.
I told you the story about Ivan Koloff's tattoo, right?
No.
So Ivan Koloff was wrestled. He wrestled as Red McNulty. That was his first working name. At that time, if you see any picture of him before he was Ivan Koloff, and maybe even in the beginning of Ivan Koloff, he has a tattoo, giant tattoo of an eagle. Later on, deeper in his gimmick, he had a Russian sickle added. The Russian sickle goes down into the eagle's eye, and then there's blood spurting from the eye. So
Oh,
again,
I mean,
he didn't have it originally, but he must have been so into his gimmick. He said, "How can I walk around? I'm a guy from the South with a Russian accent, and I got an eagle on my arm. That's the symbol of America.
Mhm.
So I'm so into my gimmick, I get a
never really
tattoo."
examined Ivan Koloff's arm.
Well, I have a picture that's I could
I
send.
don't know.
I'll send you.
I would have never guessed
Yep.
because
Now,
I've
Right.
never really looked at Ivan Koloff's arm that much.
That's just to make a point of the stupid stuff that we know because we're wrestling fans.
That's keeping in character, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Carl von Hess had his name changed to Carl von Hess legally. We got to get rid of that ice cream guy.
Yeah.
Dude, Nate, you gotta keep this.
Oh, I'm every bit of this is going on the air, but it's fun as shit. But is that ice cream truck? Is it just parked in your yard, Chad? What's going on?
Yeah. It's like the story I told of Johnny Rods. I'm 17 or 18 years old, and I'm working at South Mountain Arena in West Orange, New Jersey. And while I'm working there, the event that weekend is going to be WWF wrestling. So, of course, I'm a big fan. All I want to do is get in the back and talk to the guys. Anyway, I got to talk to a bunch of people, but I was standing on top in the bleachers and looking down, and I could see the back of the curtain, the chute that they would come out, where the Zamboni comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Rods is standing down there waiting to go out the curtain. I holler down, "Java Rook." He spins around his head. He looks at me and he cracks a smile.
Get the fuck out of here.
Years ago, of course, many years later when I was in the business, some 10 years later, I meet Johnny Rods, one of the first guys I meet in the business. And I said to him, "Do you remember years ago, South Mountain Arena, some little kid, I was 18, some teenage kid screamed to you, 'Java Rook,' and your head spun around. He goes, 'That was you stupid jerk.'" I go, "Yeah."
Tommy, hang on. Pipe it down. I did. I mean, you saying Java Rook really just blew my mind because I don't know a whole lot of people that knew Johnny Rods as Java Rook.
Right. That's the point.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm bringing it up. And I just watched him in like All Japan, like recently.
Oh.
Well, I mean, when he comes back, I mean, I hope I didn't offend him over to Java Rook. I don't know. But, I mean,
What is going on?
Oh, he's back.
he's pissed
There you
off.
go.
I'm not a big fan of Johnny Rods.
He's back.
Is he there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead,
But the only reason I knew that was because I examined the magazines and I saw pictures of Johnny Rods in New York from a show, and then pictures in a different book of Johnny Rods from Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, the funny thing about guys that left here that were mid-card or jobbers would go to LA and become America's champion. Guys like Butcher Brannigan, Johnny Rods also was America's champion. And as you know, at the time, he was lucky if he was mid-card.
Anybody can be America's champion.
Yeah. Well, but it was they were presented as stars.
Kenny Von Erich was America's champion in Dallas, I think.
Really?
1997.
Yeah, but that was a different promotion. The Gene LaBelle, Mike LaBelle, LA was NWA, actually.
Yeah, Johnny Rods was a big star in LA. That was
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of glad that you said that because I've brought it up a couple times to friends of mine about Java Rook. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of like
I love that.
nobody knows.
I love the.
You know, and then
love
when
the
you
stuff
see
with Piper.
when you see a video with him and he's wearing like a All Japan warm-up suit.
Yes. Yep.
How did he get that?
Oh,
Did somebody bring it back for him? Or did he-
No,
Yeah.
those guys all went to Japan. Davey O'Hannon, all of those guys went to Japan and were used fairly decent over there. In those days, you know, I guess there wasn't a ton of guys that wanted to go, but there was plenty of guys that went that weren't the biggest stars here that went to Japan. I remember a fan going up to, it was a fan club member, went up to Davey O'Hannon and told him, look, it was an early rag sheet, an early, dirt sheet. And it said top 20 in the world, and it listed Davey O'Hannon in the top 20. The kid was all excited. He was a fan club president. So a lot of guys made the rounds over there. I mean, look at even Jose Estrada. He was a junior heavyweight champion for a while. He was in Japan. He fought in Japan.
Dude, I would love to have worked Jose Estrada. And same with Johnny.
Sure.
I mean, you worked with Johnny.
Yeah, I worked with Johnny, with him under the mask as the medic.
What's that?
I worked with Johnny with him under the mask as the medic. For a while, he wore like scrubs and a mask. Towards the end, when maybe he would work with one of his students to break them in on a show or something, be in a tag match. So I remember being in a tag match.
Spots, like when you throw him into the buckle, and he does that deal where he hits his head and he walks around all dumb looking.
Yep.
Like, he did all that shit. And then he throws the wild punches. I mean, nobody's seen more Johnny Rods matches than me.
Yep.
I think he's on my resume of guys that I beat.
Yeah. Do you remember how he used to do that? Like, he would use the second rope to elevate himself to stomp a guy.
Right.
Just a unique little thing. Just a little thing. Like, let me give it more emphasis, to stomp him, bounce it off the rope.
He would also do it for the headbutt.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
Yep.
Like, he would also do it when FD Special Delivery Jones. Jesus. Is he still alive?
I don't think so.
No, he passed away. He's dead.
Well, when he would run the guy's head, when he would run Johnny Rods' head into the buckle, because there was the one win SD Jones was getting in the month of August, and
right.
He'd hit his head, and Johnny Rods would bounce off the the bottom ropes.
Yeah.
Like, get that spot, and as well as I know, that ring was not a fucking soft ring.
No. Well, originally they used a boxing ring. Originally in the Garden, especially, it was a 4-rope velvet ropes, red velvet ropes. It was a boxing ring. It was like 22 foot long. You had to run across the ring. That's one of my pet peeves when I see these guys. Even today, they do it. They take a guy out of the corner and they stop mid ring, and the guy's got to run the rest of the way. Like, run with him. Send his ass in there so he's got no recourse but to go into the corner. When you stop midway.
I gotta be honest, Tommy. I am so with you on that, and the first time I heard about it is when Jim Cornette brought it up.
Really?
And then I just said, "You're fucking right." Like, when a guy whips a guy out of the corner and he just pats him on his back and sends him to the corner. And
why would that guy keep running? Yeah. Like, why wouldn't he just take two steps and stop?
What superpower does this gentleman have?
Why would he not go at all?
Exactly.
The guy clearly didn't show any effort to throw you ahead of there. But I hated that. Like, I was a big fan of the Chris Benoit one. When Chris Benoit would grab you by your wrist, and when he would buckle you, he would take a bump with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he would drag you out of the buckle, but he had both his hands on your wrist, so he was throwing you into the fucking buckle. And it's not like you're gonna be like, you don't even have any time to turn around.
Right, exactly. Got no choice.
Buckle as fast as he's throwing it.
You got a fucking rocket strapped to you at that point. Yeah.
And the other big,
it's not like you can plan for the spot. This is when he does it. You're just like poof. You got a mouthful of fucking rubber.
You talked about working with Johnny Rods. Tommy called me stupid. I thought you were trained by Johnny Rods. I guess you weren't.
No, I wasn't. I was actually trained by Ted Petty and Bobby Bold Eagle. You know Bobby Bold Eagle, who he is?
No, I know Ted Petty.
Well, Ted Petty, of course, was Rocco Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny
Cheetah Kid. Yep. I basically was trained by Teddy, and then I started to go into Gleason's gym, and a guy by the name of Bobby Cortez, who was an international junior heavyweight in the 60s and 70s. He had a ring underneath Gleason's gym in a parking garage. And from my training with Teddy, I basically went over to him. And then I went on a road with the ring truck for like 6 months with Davey G, the masked Russian guy. They called him Masked Russian. And we went all up and down the East Coast, set up the ring, worked the show. Jules Strongbow, a whole bunch of guys up and down, up into New England. And that was it. Basically, after about 3 months, I was on the road and set up the ring and trained with Teddy and anybody else that I could grab. Always after we set up the ring, an hour and a half, whenever we could. And, I learned a lot as I went along, but my basis of training was on Gary Michael Capetta's family's pier outside in a ring in the hot sun on a Jersey Shore in Seaside, New Jersey.
The hell was this show become? What's going on? What are you doing on Gary Michael Capetta's pier?
What's he saying?
He said, what are you doing on Gary Michael Capetta's pier?
I said, what's going on?
Yeah, nothing. He was very respectful along those lines, and I always had my girlfriend with me. So he was kind enough to never, let on to any of that. Never, ever. As a matter of fact, when I went to visit Gary with my girlfriend in Seaside, he had a picture of his soulmate, and he turned it around. So I didn't see a picture of this guy in his living room.
Oh, God.
So he was pretty guarded back then, and I don't think he's ever actually officially come out, but
I didn't know. That's news to me. That is news to me. I didn't know.
I think he did now.
Oh no.
Our 50 listeners know.
No, I think everybody pretty.
Archie Mitchell's going to be commenting all over this.
I'll probably get in trouble now for this. I had 1 day out in Facebook jail and I went right back in.
Well, you can't talk shit about the Sandman.
Oh yeah, I can. Now, Hack and I got along. We got along wonderfully.
What about any stories about one of our
did
personal
you have the
favorites?
same appetite?
I'm sorry, you were both talking. Say it again.
I'm sorry. Did you have the same appetite?
Oh yeah, very much so. Very much so. I mean, weed was the main thing, and then there was always the painkillers. But I'll be honest with you, there wasn't a lot of coke going around so much at the time. Here and there, it got, I think, worse at some point after I left, but it was pretty harmless for the most part. Hack and I got along good. There's one time, I don't know if you know how Chad, if you remember how we used to do the interviews. So as the camera's facing you and you're doing your promo, everybody in the locker room is looking at you. So they're behind the cameraman. So you're doing this promo looking at everybody, and there's always pressure because it's at the end of the night. It's 2:00 in the morning. You want to get, 1 or 2 takes and get done so nobody's like moaning and groaning. So me and Hawk, Mike, we went in the back and we blew a big joint. When we came back, and he did an interview, and it was really good. He did a promo. They cut a promo. It was really good. Everybody clapped afterwards, and he looked over at me and he goes, I dedicate that interview to Tommy Cairo because he's got the best bones. You know, and that was the hard part about doing those interviews. I never liked that. So I would always like to try to grab. Yeah, it's like everybody's looking at you. You know, I can't do it that way.
Tommy, you probably see what sucks is, well, that's not the ice cream guy, but what happened was I came along right after you. So
Right.
you were kind of on your way out.
Right.
So I had to, like, not that I had to see you leave or
Right.
watch you leave. It just is what happened. And
Yeah.
then I'm stuck in a position where I don't fucking know anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anybody here. You know.
So how much longer did you stay?
Too long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I stayed too long. I stayed until they hired these two big black guys called the fucking gangsters, and that was the last time you saw Chad Austin in ECW. According
You were
to
there.
Joey
You were there. You were there into '96, weren't you, Chad?
Yeah, my last match was against the gangsters.
Yeah, I don't think I made.
That's when
95.
Joey Styles says. That's when Joey Styles says, "I don't think we'll see Chad Austin in ECW ever again." And that's how I realized I got fired.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, it was a weird dynamic there. And here's the bottom line. Anybody can say anything they want about how great Paulie was. Bottom line is he ran the business into the ground. He used millions or a couple $1 million of his parents' money. It didn't work. It wasn't successful. And he still owes tons of people money. So in my book, it's the guys that made that promotion what it was. Paulie didn't do anything more but orchestrate it. And anybody else could have done the same job he did. He didn't do anything new or different. It was a repeat of stuff that had already been done.
Paulie.
What's that?
You said Ole.
Paulie.
Okay, all right. But you said Ole. Am I not wrong?
No, I said Paulie.
Okay,
anyway,
go ahead.
You know what I'm saying. I really don't believe that he's any kind of a genius, and he screwed a lot of people. And like I said, it was the guys that put the effort in that made that product what it was. I think we could have done pretty much the same business with Eddie Gilbert, and I think Todd had enough.
And the Canadian Wolfman.
Oh, remember him? And remember the sailor? Wasn't there some sailor guy?
I mean, Hervé Ernesto.
Yeah.
Fuck.
What
about
what about a personal favorite of us, Sal Balomo? You got any Sal Balomo stories?
Oh,
my favorite guy. I love Sal. He used to bring me Glacier Freeze. It was this snuff, a little bit of snuff that came from, like, I don't know, Norway or some crap. And a hell of a worker, and a great guy. I love Sal.
I don't want to say professional, but how in the back was he not about wrestling? Like, you couldn't get him to talk about wrestling in the locker room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just, he was to the kids.
Yeah, he was big with the kids. Yep. I'll never forget the time he came to the ring in those big white, like, space snow boots. Did you see those? You ever see those?
Yeah, we bet. Well,
I've seen him pull up in a van, and he had a big and stuffed animals fell out when he opened the side door.
Oh my god!
like at the ECW arena, and I go, "Who is that?" And so I go, "That's Sal Balomo." I was like, "Oh boy."
Well, didn't you say, Chad? Didn't you say the helmet that he wore was just sat in the arena forever? In the
it was in Tommy. You know where that's at, on the other side of the ring.
That Roman hat. Yep, the Roman hat with the brush on top.
That big palm tree thing too.
Yep. Oh, Sal.
If you watch later on ECW TV, they used it. They used that as an entrance.
Really?
For, like, I think when Steve Austin was in,
Oh
they
my
used
god!
it as an entrance. And
Let me tell
it
you
was
something,
literally
Sal.
just sitting in the back.
He was a hell of a worker, Sal. Let me tell you, bro. As big as he was a big son of a bitch. People don't realize he was like at the end. He was close to 300 pounds and 6'4". Big guy.
Well, I wasn't taking that donkey kick.
No, he had those big heavy boots at one time too. That were, God forbid you got kicked with one of them.
It wasn't only that; it was the fact that I wasn't just taking it.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing that.
Did either one
Sal,
of you,
Sal was a good
Aaron,
dude.
Aaron or Chad, did either one of you have any other questions for Tommy before we do our farewells?
Oh, somebody asked about was there any heat when we did the Peaches thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We didn't get any problem from the networks or anything, but I got the most amount of feedback from other workers that to this day will reference that what they call the garden interview. When I did the garden interview and said, sitting here eating pizzas, so on and so forth. It was very controversial for the time. But like I said, the most feedback I've gotten is from other people in the business. Billy Reel just basically referenced that, saying, Uncle Tommy gave me good advice for a growing boy. Eat your vegetables and peaches. So they're still referencing, that. Or
that promo, because there was, and we haven't gotten there in our show reviews yet, but there's a segment in once they move the feud on from you, like you said, they took your feud and just pretty much handed it to Dreamer.
Right.
But once that happened, there's a time in there where they actually show a promo from you about that situation.
Yes.
Were they going to work you back into the angle? Because then it kind of goes away again.
Yeah, it's funny because when I did that interview, I had showed up and I went from like the high and tight haircut to having a little bit more hair. I looked different, and I had come back recently. And I think there was a plan to restart that, but somewhere it fell apart. That's a good question because I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember exactly what happened. But it was shortly after that when things started to go bad for me.
How did you find out like you were done?
Well, you know what? The funny thing is, I basically took myself out of the picture, and I'll tell you why. At the time, it's funny. Fast forward all these years, and I'm still dealing with my back, but my back was out. It was horrible, and I didn't like what they were doing with me, and I didn't know what was happening. So I took my last dates, and it just disappeared. I think that's when I went to work directly for Dennis Corluzzo at that time. And I worked with Dan Severn and all that around the loop for a while. But yeah, that was when Todd heard that promo. He's like, "Who was that?" They were like, "That was Tommy Cairo." He was like, "Wow, he never did promos like that before." Yeah, because you never let me. That was a pretty good promo, and it was pretty real. We did another one after that from outside of somebody's building, as if it was Sandman's condo, and I was staying there with Peaches. We're standing outside. I was in the construction gimmick. Further proof that Paulie was trying to bury me. I had a Carhartt coat on, no shirt. Yeah, I painted a safety hat, construction hard hat, silver, and I did that gimmick for a little while. That was his idea. I made the best of it, and I still think it still works.
Please tell me it was in the ICW.
What was ICW?
Were you doing that gimmick in the ICW for Savoni?
No. I only worked for them a couple times.
Man,
They shorted me on my money once, and I never let them get away with it. And then we were at a convention, and Mario Savoldi was up at the ready to take the mic, and I holler out real loud, "Hey, Savoldi, where's the rest of my money?" Well, the whole place popped. Cauliflower Alley convention. Yeah, because he probably owed everybody money, kid, we had a lighthouse. I said, I don't give a shit. Give me my money. So that's basically,
I have so many questions. I have so many questions.
We'll do it again.
But we're running out of time.
All right.
Here. So we definitely have to have you back on again.
Absolutely. We've been through ice cream trucks tonight and all kinds of an adventure, but it's been a pleasure having you, Tommy.
Excellent. Listen, I have so much to tell you, and Chad knows he's done it all too. Been there, done that. We got a lot of stories, and as we go through this, maybe get together a few more times, other stuff will become unlocked from the vault because I forgot stuff.
Pay people, okay?
That's okay.
It's all free.
That vault's empty.
Don't get carried away.
No, I mean in my vault in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the cheapest promoter in the world, Tommy. Sorry.
That's all right. Listen, if I was in it for money, I'd have been gone a long time ago. This is all we can get now, is somebody gives a crap about some of the stuff that we did. That's the only payback we get. And look, Vince paid me back. He's been airing my matches from ECW for I don't know how many years now. I got a bunch of stuff I got to send out now. I get envelopes in the mail every week. People sending me pictures. Every week I get pictures in the mail. People send me self-addressed envelopes with pictures because they're new fans of what I did in the 90s because they're watching it on WWE 24/7.
Tommy, I got a thing in the mail a couple months ago from somebody in like Montana.
Sure.
That said he was a big fan of mine. And
absolutely.
He wanted me to sign this like index card. Like,
isn't that sad?
And
they send you an index.
I said, I'm not doing that. Like that's fucking, that guy's setting me up for something.
It's an insurance scam.
He's gonna murder somebody and leave it there.
He's not really a fan of mine.
Nah, he is. He's been watching you on WWE 24/7. Do you know how many years they've been airing that stuff?
Well, somebody needs to look into his parenting skills because that kid is not being well taken care of.
Hey, listen, enjoy that and take it for what it's worth. You put some time in. Anybody likes or has anything good to say about what you did, it's a beautiful thing, bro. You know what I mean? I welcome it. If anybody gives a shit about what I did in 1994, that's pretty amazing to me, you know?
Yeah, nobody
so
gives
guys
a shit
will.
what you did in 1994.
Nah, maybe not.
Not a whole bunch of people. Maybe a few.
Few
dozen.
Anyway, I'm watching Sammy.
I'll give you that, a few dozen.
Yep. I'm watching Sammy Callahan. He looks like a chubby girl. Yeah, what happened to him? He's like a pear. He looks like a chubby girl.
Dude, I actually thought you said he looks like Chum.
No.
Like, because it's Shark Week.
Listen, if you...
Yeah.
I'm watching
this Callahan in a basket?
Yeah, you got to see him. He looks like a friggin'... he looks like a what do you call it? A dyke. He looks like a heavy set dyke.
It's bad enough I have to go in the house and watch AEW. So no, I'm not watching Sammy Callahan.
No, this was on. This is old Impact or something.
I don't give a shit how old it is. I'm never gonna see fucking baked potato Sammy Callahan. Whatever he looks like.
Well, I got heat with him because of how I closed one of my promotions, and he came in thinking he was a big shot. It's just lucky for him that this at the time 50-something-year-old guy didn't clean his clock. And if I ever had the opportunity, I'll still have a couple words for him. I think he's a piece of crap. I think he's not good for the business at all.
He's got heat with a lot of companies, even some of the ones here in Maryland that are really reputable.
Right.
You know, Maryland Championship Wrestling and Ring of Honor runs out of Maryland, and they had their reluctancies as far as dealing with it. I don't know. I don't
Are
live
you-
there, so
Are you still down that way? Where are you?
I'm in Baltimore.
Oh, I got a place in Reedville, Virginia. You know where that is? On the Chesapeake Bay, on the mainland side of Virginia.
Yeah,
They call
it's
it
nowhere near
they
me.
call it the Northern Neck.
Yeah,
I got a place
nowhere near
right
me.
there. Yep, I got a place right there on the Chesapeake Bay. It's fucking beautiful. I love
Well, how about this? I'm going to Myrtle Beach in 2 weeks. I'll drive by and I'll wave at you.
it. Okay, that's cool. You better wave from the
Tommy
boat.
Guy, right?
Well,
All
Tommy,
right,
thank you
listen.
for joining us.
You're welcome. Whenever you need me, let me know a day ahead of time.
All right, will do. Thank you, sir.
All right, Chad, it was good seeing you, buddy. Be good.
Hey, buddy, take care, sir.
Stay healthy, huh?
Thanks.
All
Not
right.
healthy.
And listen, all you guys, stay in touch with yourselves, all right?
Hey-o.
I touch myself all the time.
All right. See you.
See ya.
He said everything wrong. like be healthy, and I'm unhealthy, and then stay in touch with yourself, and I just touch myself all the time. Like Jesus.
He fucking outed Gary Michael Capetta.
Yeah. I mean, what the fuck?
Didn't know we'd be breaking news this week.
He outed Gary Michael Capetta and called Sammy Callahan a dyke.
I didn't know. I didn't know
Greatest thing
what.
ever.
I didn't know what I could get out of him. And Nate, you
Chad,
probably know.
the ice cream truck thing was cracking me up too. But I was like, one of us is going to bring it up. But I'll let you do it because you've known him the longest.
Ah, shit.
I didn't know Gary Michael Capetta was gay. And how did it even happen? You were like, what were you doing on the pier with Gary Michael Capetta? And he was like, look, he didn't bring that around me.
Yeah, it wasn't even supposed to happen. Like, it wasn't. That wasn't at all what Chad was saying.
But like I said, as soon as I started going, then I realized, oh, I can go further. I can get more out of this. I can get more out of this. And I just said, oh my God. I got too much more out of this.
We're having him back. Him out and Gary Michael Capetta might get us on some of the websites. We're gonna be on Raja.com. I don't even know what we'll title that show. What do we even title that show?
Ice cream trucks and Tommy Cairo.
Sammy Callahan's a chubby girl. There's all kinds of things.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna log out because I've got to piss. I will hit you guys up in the chat room though.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Yep.